This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
Good evening to you. At 5 o'clock, I'm Mark Mullins. Tonight, the Indianapolis Metro Police Department is making a change for families who have lost loved ones to violence. The department has heard from plenty of families frustrated about the lack of contact from police during homicide investigations. RTV6's Nicole Griffin sits down with a grieving mother and the homicide branch commander to find out the news, what this new system will do and what it means for families.
It's a pain I don't wish on another living soul.
It's been 6 years since Margarita Swinton's son was killed in Indianapolis.
I'm living without a heartbeat, still no justice, and it's like, I'm numb at times.
Her son was just 19 years old and in his first year of college when he was gunned down near 8th and Keystone.
I cried more than I laughed, like his birthday's coming up on the 28th. And it's bittersweet, but I already know we try to remember the good times, but why ain't there more good times?
In the beginning, Margarita had hope that there would be justice in his case, but that hope faded as the years passed by.
They used to contact me the first few months. Then after that, I used to contact them monthly until it went into a cold case. And no one was, notifying.
It's a concern families of homicide victims all across the city share.
The number one complaint for the homicide branch has been contact or lack of contact with the detectives.
In an effort to address these concerns, Captain Roger Spurgeon, the homicide branch commander, says a brand new family contact protocol is now in place.
Starting with this year's cases, 2019 cases, families should be getting 4 homicide-initiated contacts per year, so quarterly.
I think it's important that we have this policy in place for future mothers and fathers.
Darius Ross with the Ross Foundation says he's been working with IMPD for 3 years on this plan, but he did not do it alone. Women from the support group A Mother's Cry helped along the way.
When I hear some of the stories from the moms, it's really heartbreaking to lose your child and then to try to call and get answers and you can't get them.
Margarita is part of A Mother's Cry, a group for mothers that have lost children to violence. She says the protocol is a step in the right direction.
It's lovely they're putting it in place. I wish it would have been in place during the first 2 years would have helped comfort me a little bit better.
Homicide detectives now also have this flyer to hand out to family members of homicide victims. The hope is to be able to answer questions that they may have during the investigation process. Nicole Griffin, RTV6.
When it comes to cold cases, IMPD's homicide branch commander says detectives do follow up on cold cases. If a homicide case is not solved, it is never closed. Here's a breakdown of the family contact protocol. Starting with 2019 cases, the family will be contacted 4 times a year, as you heard, for the first 2 years the case remains unsolved. After that, 1 contact will be made per year, every year after. The lead detective is required to make the initial contact. After that, other members of IMPD, like the homicide branch secretary or chief's office assistant, can contact the family. The entire purpose of the new plan is to ensure families that IMPD has not forgotten about their loved one's case. Massive potholes, which look more like craters in one Southside Indianapolis neighborhood, are not getting fixed anytime soon. And the reason? Confusion over who actually owns the road in the first place. It's a story we first brought you yesterday on the news at 5 and 6. RTV6's Paris Lubell returned to the neighborhood trying to figure out what happens next.
It looks like a normal road, but it's really not. It's a private road, and these potholes aren't any closer to getting fixed. That's because the people who own this road is a homeowners association that doesn't actually exist. We headed back into the Green Leah Acres neighborhood on Friday, driving over those massive potholes that are more like craters, trying to get answers about who's responsible for fixing them. According to city records, this road and the grassy areas around the homes is owned by the Green Leah 2 Homeowners Association Incorporated. The problem? That homeowners association no longer exists. It hasn't since 2007, and the registered agent on the state filings is dead. But the property is still owned by the HOA, according to the city, and when we asked people in the neighborhood, they tell us they were shocked to hear it even existed.
There was no HOA, you've never heard of an HOA?
No, not at all. That topic was never even brought up.
Since 2008, at least since I bought it,
There's not been an HOA. We've never had an HOA. And yeah, as far as I know, there's never been one since the beginning of the construction of the neighborhood.
So what happens? When we talk to the city, they say they can't use road funding dollars on private property, and it would be up to whoever owns a road. And according to the city, that's the homeowners association. So what happens next? It's up to the neighborhood, but they are working with representatives from the city to see if they can turn this into a city street. But until that happens, there's a number of hoops the neighborhood has to jump through. Coming up on the news at 6, we'll dig into what the neighborhood is now facing and what you need to know if you live in an HOA community. On the city's south side, Paris Lubell, RTV6.
A water leak has been dumping gallons and gallons of water down my street for over a month and a half. Can someone please fix it? Well, that is the plea from some East Side residents to Citizens Energy Group. Bobby Boggs is concerned that the nonstop flow will cause long-term damage to the street. He says he has called the utility repeatedly and has not gotten any results. Working for you, RTV6 went to 1900 block of Houston Street to check out what was going on.
If you go up to where the original water comes out, you can see where it's already starting to turn to all mud in the grassy area. And you can see where the curb has started to push down and where the sidewalk has cracked and started to fall into the ground. I would say those are definite signs that the ground is washing away.
In a statement, a spokeswoman for Citizens Energy Group told RTV6 that the leak in question is a curb stop leak, which is not considered an emergency repair. Nevertheless, the leak is scheduled to be fixed tomorrow. You'll notice we focus on stories where we can make a difference in your life. If you've got a problem that cannot get solved, connect with RTV6 at workingforyou at RTV6.com. We'll see what we can do to fix the issue. Time now for your Storm Team 6 forecast. And tonight, we gave Kevin the best assignment of the day. He's at Italian Fest on the city's south side. And though it's breezy, the weather has been great for getting outside. So, Kevin, please tell me you are eating everything.
It is unbelievable. The humidity is low. The sun has been shining. I'm with Severin, and he is in charge of the cannoli and coffee booth. How long have you been kind of coordinating volunteers?
2 years at this booth.
Okay, how many volunteers do you have?
About 10.
Hang on 1 second. These kids over here happen to be reading the menu. I just want you to listen in on what's available tonight.
Spaghetti, tortellini, tiramisu, sausage sandwich, brownie.
We'll check back. There's a whole lot to eat. So what is expected of the volunteers? What is their role?
Well, they will take care of everything. They're going to take the tickets. They'll make the cannolis. We actually do coffee, and we do iced coffee and cannoli coffee as well.
What was the alarm? That means the festival has started!
Right, that's exactly what it means.
All right, so this is until 11 o'clock tonight, and then 5 to 11 tomorrow.
Tiramisu, sausage sandwich, brownies, wine, beer, domestic imported.
They've got it down. They'll have it memorized and won't be reading it from the script at 6. Let's talk about the weather for a second. Notice, I'm not worried about it. It's perfect. Temperatures are in the 70s, and you're looking from our Salesforce camera down onto the campus here at Holy Rosary Church at the Street Festival. From the 70s to the 60s tonight. With low humidity, it will be a great evening. We'll join the menu live in progress again as we go back to you guys.
The salad, breadsticks, fettuccine alfredo, fried ravioli, homemade cannoli, homemade cheesecakes.
I'm done. Back to you guys.
Italian sausage.
Loving the way all of that sounds down there. And as you heard Kevin say, perfect night to get out to enjoy. Thanks, guys. For Democracy 2020, Indiana will have at least one open seat in Congress on the ballot. Congresswoman Susan Brooks says she won't be running for re-election in her 5th district seat next year. The Republican was first elected to the seat in 2012. She was the first woman from Indiana to chair a House committee, but now she says she wants to spend more time at home with her family. Brooks also says she believes in term limits and that she believes the state has plenty of leaders who can bring fresh ideas and new energy to her district. Construction crews are doing work along I-65 this week. That means parts of the interstate will again be closed. Instead of just a weekend closure, this project will shut down parts of I-65 for more than 2 weeks. Starting tonight, I-65 North will close from 465 up to 865 on the northwest side. Crews will be repaving northbound lanes starting at 9 o'clock tonight. The closure is expected to last until July 1st. Then the southbound lanes will close. INDOT says you can follow detours on both 465 and 865 to get around this. And planners say this closure really is better for everyone in the long run.
cars aren't whizzing by at 60, 70 miles an hour. Our workers don't have to worry about that. So when we do a full closure, we can also get our maintenance team in there and do some maintenance so we don't have to shut down lanes later on right after we do a full closure. So we can get a lot more done.
Now a new change. This will not be closed as scheduled. This is at I-70 at Harding Street. I-70 East was supposed to be shut down, but INDOT just canceled that this evening. There are 3 projects happening on area interstates soon. So for a breakdown of those construction zones, you can head to the RTV6 app and find this story. Costco is the newest store to recall frozen berries because of hepatitis A. It sold the berries under its Kirkland Signatures brand in San Diego, LA, and Hawaii, but this could affect Indiana too. The FDA found hepatitis A in a sample. This recall keeps expanding, so it's possible Costco will pull frozen berries sold in other states too. Townsend Farms produces the berries. Kroger also sells them and recalled them a week ago. RTV6's Hiring Hoosiers is our initiative aimed at connecting you with employment opportunities, training programs, and education. We've told you about how Employee Indy's Work One office is having an open house. It's happening tomorrow, 11 to 1. There will be a job fair and other career resources. That event will take place at 4410 North Shadeland Avenue. Again, it's 4410 North Shadeland Avenue. That's a new location for Work One Indy. Again, that's at 11 to 1 tomorrow at 4410 North Shadeland. This crash is bad, but what's on the roadway there looks a lot worse than it really is. Part of I-94 in northwest Indiana is back open after a messy crash shut it down for several hours. 2 semis collided just before 3:45 this morning on I-94 in the area of Burns Harbor. That's a town east of South Bend. One of the trucks was carrying cocoa, which spilled onto the expressway. The other truck was carrying several items, including cases of lithium batteries. State police say the busted batteries ignited in some spots overnight after interacting with the cocoa powder, but crews were able to put those fires out. No serious injuries were reported. Ahead tonight on the Now Indy at 5:30, witnesses say they thought he had a health issue, but this episode on a flight turned into something more violent. New details on the diverted flight that left from Indiana. And just ahead here at 5, you may just be trying to keep your animal friends happy and fed, but if you're making this mistake, you could be killing hummingbirds. The warning you need to hear before you garden this weekend.
And we are enjoying a dry Friday evening here across central Indiana, but those rain showers are sliding our way. I'll let you know when they could have an impact on your weekend plans. You're watching RTV6 News at 5.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
And welcome back to the News at 5 on RTV6. Right now, we're bringing you a live look from our tower camera downtown, pointed southeast toward Indianapolis International Airport. That's where a flight left this week that turned into this headline. We're getting a better picture of what happened on the plane from Indianapolis to Paris that had to be diverted after a passenger started shouting and attacked members of the crew. A criminal complaint filed today says about 40 minutes into the flight, Robert Jamie Morin began screaming, at one point hitting a flight attendant, and then threw up. Flight attendants and several passengers helped restrain the man until he could be placed in flex cuffs. The flight was diverted to Detroit. Bayer is spending more than $5.5 billion to find a new Roundup. It owns Monsanto, which makes Roundup. There's been a ton of controversy about Roundup and whether it's the main ingredient. Glyphosate causes cancer. Bayer says it will spend at least the next 10 years formulating new weed killers. The company says today it stands by Roundup because studies have proven glyphosate is safe, but it says it is committed to offering people more choices. If you're refilling bird feeders this weekend, you'll want to hear this. Dirty feeders could be killing the hummingbirds they're meant to attract. A Minnesota-based wildlife group recently said bacteria in hummingbird feeders slowly kills them. So we asked Project Feeder Watch at the Cornell Club Lab Ornithology to confirm that. It says that there are no studies to support or debunk that claim, and that the best thing to do is to clean feeders before each refill, or every 2 to 5 days. It says to clean out any feeders that could have water or mold. The group also says not to add red food coloring, honey, or vitamins to the feeders. Hummingbirds are not only cool to watch, but studies show interacting with wildlife improves physical and mental health. Kyle's here now with a look at your Storm Team 6 forecast. And really, it was a great day to really get out to walk, have lunch outside, go to the Italian Fest.
Get out there in nature today. Yeah, very nice after a chilly start. Had the heat on this morning. We dipped down into the 40s. We were close, but not quite to that record. We started off the day at 47. Right now, we flip those numbers around. Gives us our current temperature of 74 degrees, courtesy of that south and southwest breeze around 15 miles per hour. The air is still very dry. Our humidity is only 35%. That is going to change big time heading into the weekend. Right now, our temperatures lower to middle 70s all across central Indiana. You got 77 in Muncie, 74 in Bloomington, and Crawfordsville at 75 degrees. Those clouds are increasing, and they'll continue to do so this evening, but it's going to take a few more hours before any of the wet weather gets here. I think that will be a little closer to midnight as we'll start to see a few of those rain showers. So if you're going to be heading off to Jubilation this evening, I think you're dry. Temperatures middle to upper 60s through 9 o'clock, 65 and partly cloudy at midnight tonight. And as we look at those rain chances, you start to see as we get into Saturday, they get into that probable category. So I think you are going to need to have the umbrella and some indoor plans as a backup here. As we get toward the overnight tonight, you see that green overspreading central Indiana. And tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., we've got some rain, especially along and south of Interstate 70. As we go through the day, could have some locally heavy rainfall here into the afternoon, possibly a couple of strong storms as we head into our Saturday evening. So you notice that it's going to be pretty quiet or pretty active here on the radar as we go through the day tomorrow. In fact, we do have a marginal risk across much of central Indiana, that slight risk of severe weather from Bloomington, Seymour to the southwest, primarily for some gusty winds, possibly some hail in a few of those storms. And that will keep our temperatures into the lower and middle 70s tomorrow afternoon. So once again, a little below average. On Father's Day, Sunday, we've got the chance for some storms in the morning, may dry things out a little bit the middle of the day before rain chances return, and that just kind of sets the stage here for an active weather pattern. Could see an inch or more of rainfall before the weekend is over, and those rain chances carry into next week, and some areas could be talking about more than 3 inches of rainfall by the time we get toward Friday. High temperatures, though, they're going to be a little bit warmer here as we go through the week with highs in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees, and the humidity, that is back on Sunday.
Oh, it's coming. Get ready for that.
That and lots of rain.
Thank you, Kyle, for that. Well, with Father's Day coming up this Sunday, we found the perfect story to kick things off. Want you to meet Donovan Hale, and he's a wide receiver for the Indiana University football team. Not only is Donovan a standout on the football field, but he is also a proud dad. His son Weston turns 2 later this month, and this offseason, he has become Donovan's workout buddy and biggest motivation. Donovan says being a dad has changed his life and that he loves being there every step of the way for his son. So be sure to look for Donovan on the field this coming fall, and little Weston cheering on his dad from the stands at Memorial Stadium. Coming up on RTV6, a marriage ended in murder and an Oscar winner is in handcuffs. Our Court TV Roundup has the high and low points of the nation's most stunning court cases next.
At Ross, yes for less.
You're watching the news at 5 on RTV6. Court TV is bringing you coverage of some of the most compelling court cases around the country. RTV6's parent company, Scripps, now owns the network. And tonight, from a marriage murder mystery to Cuba Gooding Jr., take a look.
Hello to you. I'm Julie Grant at Court TV, and today, of course, we're following the latest in legal news. First, we're bringing you a real-life Southern murder mystery trial. Did Michael Colucci murder his wife, Sarah Lynn, or did she commit suicide, as he says she did? Michael Colucci is maintaining his innocence, but prosecutors, they disagree. And Academy Award-winning actor Cuba Gooding Jr. surrenders to police, but is pleading not guilty to groping a woman over the weekend in Manhattan. There is surveillance video in this case, so the big question is, will it exonerate him, or will it prove that he did touch this woman inappropriately? Also, Kim Kardashian headed to the White House, speaking about criminal justice reform and giving former prisoners a second chance in life. Now, remember, she's also working on a law degree, so this is something she seems to care deeply about. Also, Amanda Knox went back to Italy for the first time since 2011. You'll recall she was wrongfully convicted of killing her friend and roommate and spent time in an Italian prison for the crime before she was released. Now she was invited as a guest speaker to talk on a panel about being tried by the media. Of course, we will continue updating you throughout the day on Court TV. I'm Julie Grant. Now I'll send it back to you in the studio.
And thank you, Julie. Coming up all new at 6 o'clock here on RTV6, why an HGTV home renovation project is now the middle of a race for Indianapolis mayor. But first on the Now Indy, RoboCop in real life, the robot that may be soon writing you a ticket. Next on the Now Indy on RTV6.